Hello everyone and welcome back to this closing session of the 7th edition of Translating Europe Forum. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sure you already know, but a final reminder, this session is also available in English, German, Italian, French, Spanish and Polish. The links are available on the Europa webpage where you registered for the forum. It's hard to believe that we're already coming to the end of this year's event. It's certainly been different, but we hope that you found the sessions interesting, even if you were following them online. I must say it has been pretty intense, with a lot of information and ideas flowing. My brain's aching a bit, and I don't know about you. Before we close, we want to hear a few words from Elisabetta DEGIAMPIETRO, who is head of unit at DG Translation that manages the Translating Europe project. Some of you may have seen her in the virtual networking sessions. So, Elisabetta, what are your impressions and takeaways?
Thank you, Aminda, and good afternoon to everybody. I'm very pleased that you stayed with us until the very end of TEF 2020. So if you allow me, I would perhaps start by sharing a couple of thoughts. First of all, as organizer of Translating Europe Forum 2020. As you said, Aminda, it was a different edition this year. And I must admit, back in spring, when we started preparing TEF, we hesitated a bit about what type of forum we could possibly offer this year. Back then, we were just at the start of the pandemic, so we really thought, what should we do this year with TEF? Should we postpone to a better time? Should we go for a fully virtual event, for a hybrid one? So it was not very easy. So in the end, and I think it was the right choice, we opted for a fully virtual event. And I hope that in spite of this virtual setup, we really managed to design an engaging program for each of you, and that you all enjoyed fully these 3 days. And you know, from our side, it's not easy to put together a program every year that is appealing to all our audience. So to have qualitative content that at one side is in line with the trends out there in the industry, and at the other side is interesting for a wide audience. We mentioned this earlier. These days, we really try to bring together in TEF newcomers, recent graduates, students, established translators, freelancers, translation companies, LSPs, academia, public translation services, associations. So you see, to meet the audience favor remains a priority for us, but it's a challenge at the same time. So really, I hope you all enjoyed the content and the program that was presented during these 3 days. And talking about challenges, of course, this year we had a new challenge, an additional challenge, which was this virtual event, how to turn into a successful virtual event, our classic forum that takes place, as you know, in Brussels, gathering 500 people. So I think that the challenges of going virtual, we also, what it means by now we have learned throughout this month, coping with that. We had some technical hiccups, of course, during the 3 days, but I believe that certainly on the positive side, on the plus side, we could reach out to many more people than what we have had possibly be doing in a physical event. So we had, as we said earlier, more than 1,300 registered participants from all 6 continents. My team told me we have represented in TEF this year 64 countries, 73 nationalities. So in terms of outreach, I think this was a major step forward, and I could say we also went global with TEF 2020. And another reflection I had concerns the networking. And we know that one of the main reasons for all of you to attend Translating Europe Forum in Brussels is the networking, the possibility of sharing informally with peers, with colleagues, to exchange, meet, make new friends and establish new cooperations. And we obviously knew that in a virtual setup we could not reproduce the same experience. We tried out with the virtual networking, and I hope that during these 3 days you managed a little bit to reach out to each other, to make new connections, and get in touch a bit also within the platform. As we said, this virtual conferencing is becoming the new normal, or rather the never normal, as our keynote Rick would say, and we knew that we could not reproduce the same forum as usual. We knew that we had to compete with many other events, online events going on at the same time across Europe, across the world. And we also know that when attending online events, the attention span is much more compressed, much more reduced. So, you see, it was for us as organizing team quite a challenging journey. I would say that somehow we ventured into uncharted waters, and we learned really many lessons that we take with us as organizers of TEF, and that we will try to apply also into the new normal. And of course, we are very much interested in having your feedback as well. And by the way, this gives me the opportunity to remind you that there is a feedback form that has been uploaded into the app and into the web app as well, so you can download it and fill it in, and all registered participants will also receive it per email in the next day. So please fill it in. It's a very precious information for us for improving our work and building even a better experience for you next time. Now, as to your question, Aminda, my personal takeaways from Translating Europe Forum 2020. Well, we took this topic of platforms, and we looked at it from two different angles. On one side, how do platforms affect the translation profession? And on the other side, how can translation add value to platforms? And I must say it was for us a new subject, a new topic, and back in spring I did not imagine really that it could take such a range of forms, and we saw it throughout the 3 days with so many diverse presentations and experiences presented around this topic. So for me it was really revealing in this sense. I was particularly interested in listening to testimonials from businesses and organizations outside European institutions, how they use translation. And I was really grateful that we managed to have among us speakers from companies, bigger, less big companies, all running platforms, with in some cases household names among us. And I'm really happy that they gave us a peek behind the scenes of their business and how they go about multilingualism and platforms. Something I noted actually is that they all use machine translation, but also human translation, being that through in-house translators or through freelancers. So in very diverse and different ways, they all apply this mix of humans and technology to ensure that their multilingual communication with their customers is effective. And in a very similar way, we here at the DG Translation, we apply this mix of resources as well. And I think that as a takeaway on that, it confirms really the view that machines will never fully replace human translation, but that technology and humans have to work hand in hand, as we very often say. Another takeaway, or rather a confirmation for me, was the crucial role that translation plays in today's platform economy. Accelerator of business opportunities. So in a word, a driver in today's. I think this was confirmed by many of our speakers. And another takeaway I had, or rather an image that I take with me, is this paradox, or perhaps it's not even a paradox, on the fact that, you know, on the higher we go into this interconnected platforms, in these global ecosystems we have been talking about, the more we move into highly digitized environment and processes, the more important the local and the human dimension becomes. So, you know, somehow from the very big to the very small. And I found it quite fascinating to see how these two extremes of the spectrum came together very strongly during the discussions and were repeatedly underlined. So, for instance, we spoke a lot about localization, about the value of human experience, the value of personalization, of networking, of partnering. So as a way to reconfirm that this global digital ecosystem we all live in the end is built on local, smaller scale ecosystems. So this I found quite fascinating and a very symbolic image of TEF. And another point I wanted to raise concerns quality, and the attention to the quality of translation, the quality of the content which is provided through platforms. This remain a central topic, and one could perhaps have expected, you know, that when talking about platform economy, global systems where speed, volume, quantity of data, and perhaps the concept of the good enough seem to prevail, that quality concerns, quality issues would have been put aside. No, it's not true. On the contrary, I found this coming out very strong from all the presentations, and passing a very encouraging message in this sense for all professionals working in the sector. Then certainly we learned more, or at least I learned more about platforms and got a better understanding of what hides behind terms like platform economy, digital ecosystems, and so on and so forth. These are terms that we hear very often, used not always correctly, and in this sense I found the speeches by our keynote speakers very eye-opening, helping us, Simon on one side setting the scene and framing the debate of the days, and then Rick bringing us even a step further, looking beyond today into tomorrow. And when talking about definition of platforms, I also found very interesting the way it was addressed yesterday evening in the panel when we spoke about platforms as a real network of people cooperating, collaborating, and supporting each other. So this was also something I would like to take away. And maybe as a last takeaway from my side, I would say these red threads of change and the capacity of the translation profession to embrace, to adapt, to reinvent itself, to learn new skills and new competencies. This topic of change, in this sense, it's nothing new, nothing that we haven't discussed or heard before. It's, I would say, an omnipresent theme popping up regularly at all editions of Translating Europe Forum, at all our Translating Europe workshops in the member states. But I believe that the ability to navigate in a changing world has never been more topical than this year. This year, when the industry was hit, stretched by a pandemic, and I would say that I'm certainly confident after listening to the presentations today that the community will crack the magic code for the day after tomorrow, or maybe some of us have already. So these are, in a nutshell, a bit my takeaways, Aminda. But as I said, I would be very interested to have feedback also from our audience and have a bit of input from them. And for that, we thought of taking the temperature of our audience with 2 quick polls. And I think for that, my colleague Margit will help us, right?
Yes, as always, I will introduce the questions. And first, I would like to ask you, and I'll make the first question visible. Did TEF 2020 in this virtual edition fulfill your expectations? Yes or no? And I will start the voting now. You will see the poll, as always, where you usually see the slides. If you don't see it yet, click refresh, but I think we solved the technical issue, so it should refresh automatically. And you can just click on the options and vote on it. We will keep the poll open as long as we see poll answers coming in. 16 votes, 18 so far. You are either very kind to us, or those who didn't like the conference already left. So far we are at 100% yes. I'll keep it a bit open longer. Maybe 10 more seconds. But I don't see new votes coming, so I think we can close.
We have some people in the chat saying that they can't vote because of the refresh, but they're all saying yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Good. I think then we nevertheless stop the voting. Oh, there was one.
Whoa.
No. Yes. Should I open it again? No.
Well, it's good. You can't be 100% perfect. There's no such thing as that.
Yes, exactly. We would not have believed the 100%. Good, but it gives us a first impression. And then, should we go immediately to the next question, or?
Well, I would say that on that one, it's certainly very encouraging, and as usual, I'm also interested in hearing from the participants on things that they didn't like so much. So please give us the feedback via the survey. So I think we can launch the second poll, Margit. The first one was easier in a sense. Let's see for the second question what our
the second one focuses on our topic. So it should display in a second. Has it given you a better insight into what platforms can do for translation and vice versa? Yes or no? I will start the voting again.
We're also having other voting in the chat as well. I'm sure afterwards someone can do the maths and work it out.
We will have our survey, and that will allow us to properly collect the feedback. This is now just the first test of how people felt about the conference. Some votes coming in. 8 so far.
Okay, I see something. Someone's put a comment in. Thank you, Andrea. The only thing that I think did not work well were the networking sessions. The rest was really interesting.
Yes, we are aware that we had some issues, and some people could enter the session. So for those who managed to enter the room, there was an exchange that was, I think, interesting. But we are aware that, unfortunately, many did not manage to connect. So, and we considered to switch to Zoom on last minute, but we decided to stay in the setting that we are. So apologize for those who could not connect, and maybe, hopefully, we'll see each other in person next year. Okay, I think we can close the voting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And
I will stop it now. And we had 83% who said that yes, it explained them a bit better what platforms are about.
Good. That's this was also the objective, in a sense, of the whole forum. So glad to have this positive confirmation from the two polls.
And I think it's also worth, we're having a lot of questions, which are not questions, but there are comments being put in. And the one which has the top votes at the moment, it says going virtual was the right choice. There's also something very nice about me. Thank you very much, Chris, who I believe I said you were a man. I know you're a woman. So thank you. She says inviting me back as a moderator was good. And perhaps announce your dates earlier in 2021 to lock them in and encourage competing events to select other ones. Well, we'll have some news about the dates right at the end, so keep your diaries at the ready. I'm not quite sure about encouraging competing ones to select different dates. That's a bit difficult. I don't know if you have that power, Elisabetta.
Well, coordinate as much as we can, and we are aware that especially this last part of the year, it's quite charged with a number of relevant events for the profession, and we will try to do a bit more of ahead coordination, but it's not always as easy as it could seem. But thank you for reminding us of that.
And we have a message that's had 5 votes from Ariana, who says, I've learned a lot during these days. I think it's been a very good idea to organize it online. Thank you. And someone appreciating all your hard work from behind the scenes. Let's see who that is. That's Eugenie. It can't have been easy to organize this year's forum. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. That's always nice to have some thank you. So thank you for everyone who's been voting on those. Elisabetta, we've heard about oh, hang on, there's another one here I'd like to just go to. I particularly enjoyed the opportunity to hear speakers from the non-LSP, non-language business community. Yeah. And very enriching conference. So, Elisabetta, we've heard about what your takeaways are, but what would you like the audience to take away from TEF 2020?
Oh, look, I think that the message for the audience would certainly be a message of encouragement, a positive message, a message of hope, that's for sure. And perhaps three things. First of all, it's more related to the very difficult period we are living in, and we have to acknowledge that despite the current COVID crisis, which I'm aware is taking a toll on many of you, I think that despite of this, the language industry is a growing sector, and a sector offering plenty of opportunities. We heard it from the very beginning 3 days ago from our commissioner. I think that the presentations and the practices presented by all our speakers can only testify that it's really a strong growing sector with a high potential. So multilingual communication is key in our platform economy, in our highly interconnected world, and translation enables communication. And I believe if we use in a smart way the language skills and the technology that is available, I really see a bright future for the profession. So this, I think, would be the first message I would like the participants to take home. The second one is more related to this concept of community that we heard quite a lot during the presentations, and its idea of a collaborative community and this strong sense of belonging, of supporting each other, which in a sense distinguishes the translation profession. So I would really invite participants to keep in mind that we are and we remain a strong community, and we have to stick together more than ever now. And we as DG Translation, we will keep playing our role in supporting the community with the forum and with the Translating Europe workshops in the different countries, which we hope to resume in a bit more intense way as of next year. As you have seen and probably experienced, they have also been either cancelled, postponed, or turned into virtual ones. But we will be there also in the future to support these efforts. And the third message that I would like participants to take home is an encouragement. And I would really encourage all of you to carry on the conversations that were started during these 3 days and to carry them on outside the virtual setup, inside your organizations, but even more importantly, outside your organizations, beyond your established constituencies and organizations. And in this sense, I really count on each and every one of you to help us promote the language profession, this invisible yet vital role that translation plays really in every sector of our life. And it was with that in mind that a couple of months ago with my team, we decided to launch the very first visibility campaign, Discover Translation. It has been mentioned a couple of times during the conference. Our Director General referred to that. And in this sense, we really want to make an effort to increase visibility and reach out to those who don't know the profession, who don't know how much added value the translation brings to them. So I hope really that what you heard here at TEF will inspire you to reach out to those who buy online, who book trips online, who browse on social media, who are active on different platforms, and who do not realize that they can do so in their preferred language thanks to the work of linguists behind that. So please help us spreading this message, share this message. Translation is really all around us. Translation is good for business, it is good for people, and it's good for society. And so this would be really my messages to the participants at the closing of TEF 2020. And I think, Aminda, now before handing it over to you again for the formal closing, I think time has arrived for me to pass some thank you messages on behalf of the European Commission and of DG Translation. And I would start by thanking all the participants who have been watching us during the 3 days. And thank you very much for having been so active with the questions in the chats on social media. I really hope you all enjoyed the program we had prepared for you. I would like to thank our amazing speakers for their presentations, for the quality of what they shared, their insights, their practices. It has been really instructive and inspiring. And at the same time, I would like to thank also all chairs who animated the different sessions during TEF. A special thank to our partners and experts who helped us putting together the program. It has been very rewarding working with you as usual. And then, of course, a thank you to our colleagues interpreters who enabled the forum to be followed in 5 different languages. Big applause to you as well, and obviously also to all the technicians who behind the scene made TEF 2020 keep up and running throughout the entire duration of the conference. And then, Aminda, I would like now to spend a word of thank you to you for your impeccable moderation. You have been very appreciated not only by all of us, but all the participants. I've seen already many positive comments on that side. So thank you really for all your work. It has been really a great pleasure to work with you again this year. And then, last but not least, really a special thank you goes to my team, the organizing team of TEF 2020. Without them, all this would have not been possible. So big thank you, really, Margit, Harro, Lukas, Ilse, Caroline, and Inka-Lisa. You have really been the hand, the mind, and the heart behind Translating Europe 2020. And with that, I think I will hand it over to you, Aminda, for the formal closing of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisabetta. And now, while these official sessions to an end, we've got a solution for you. Over the weekend, there will be some bonus content for you to watch. There are recordings of the 2 keynotes and 2 sessions from last year's TEF, as well as recordings from the Italian Translating Europe workshops, which are obviously in Italian. You can also relive the sessions from this year again, as they're all available on demand on the Translating for Europe YouTube channel, where they'll be staying for a while, so don't worry, you don't have to look at them immediately. And we do hope that from what you've heard this year, you are going to be encouraged and stimulated to come back in 2021 for the 8th edition. And so get your diaries at the ready, because the dates are the 4th and the 5th of November 2021. So those who were asking about that, you can already block that time off. Let's hope we'll be able to meet together in person. That it was quite an impression to see that big room where we normally gather very empty. Hopefully we will be all there in person next year. On a final note, I would like to thank you, the participants, for tuning in and for participating so actively throughout with your fantastic questions and voting on questions. It really made it sing, so thank you. And with that, I now bring this official part of 2020 TEF to a close.